2, 1.
Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to KSAT News Now, streaming Monday through Fridays right here at 11 a.m. from the KSAT 12 newsroom. We're on KSAT.com, KSAT Plus, and also YouTube Live. We're also podcasting. We are everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. Podcasting also, so check us out, like, rate, and subscribe. And speaking of podcasting, Erica Hernandez is with me this morning.
Yes.
And yeah, you've been very busy. You're a big podcaster now.
Yeah, out of nowhere. No, we started South Texas Crime Stories several weeks ago, and it's doing really well. We have a new episode out today. We're really diving into true crime that's dealing with cases here in San Antonio area and, of course, South Texas.
Absolutely. So, yeah, a lot of these high-profile cases, maybe you have, forgotten about a few of them. They've been doing a great job, you and Lisa. We're going to talk more about this new episode, right?
Yes, later on.
Later on today. But also some other big stories we're following today. UFOs. Hey, you know what?
They may be out there.
They may be out there.
We don't know.
And hopefully we could get some answers for UFOs today as the U.S. panel is going to be taking that up. And also some college grads are now debt-free. Been seeing this a few times now.
That's so exciting for them. So exciting for them. Yeah. Plus, another major U.S. company steps into the abortion debate. But we start at the border, where there is a lot going on today in terms of Title 42, RJ.
Right. This has been a big discussion when it comes to immigration at the Texas-Mexico border. So before we get to Alicia Barrera, who's actually at the border for us, let's kind of break down what Title 42 is.
So Title 42 is part of the Public Health Service Act of 1944. It's aimed at preventing the spread of infectious diseases in the country.
So if U.S. health officials determine there is an infectious disease in another country, they have the authority, with the approval of the president, that's important, to block migrants from entering the country. So it's essentially a public emergency health order.
So the Trump administration invoked Title 42 in March 2020 as a way to help stop the spread of COVID-19 in immigrant detention centers. And the Biden administration has kept the order as we've gone through the pandemic. But the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recently announced it plans to end Title 42 on May 23rd. That's next week.
Yeah, that is quickly approaching, and that the reason that they want to end Title 42 is because COVID-19 cases have obviously decreased and vaccines are now widely available. But that date is now in question because of lawsuits, many lawsuits that are aimed at keeping this policy in place.
Now, we have team coverage at the border today to discuss the latest with Title 42. Alicia Barrera is live in Donna this morning for us. Good morning. And what can you tell us about Title 42? And who have you been able to speak to about this, Alicia?
Hey, RJ, Erica, good morning. Yeah, we're in the city of Donna, so just so you get a better idea of exactly where we are along the border, we're probably like 2-3 miles out from what is the Rio Grande. So who have we been able to speak to? We got here last night and we headed directly to the city of Peñitas. That's going to be 25 miles west of where we're at right now. And we were able to speak to some homeowners there who literally live on the border. Their backyard is the border fence. And I asked them how the situation has been like in the last couple of months when we're talking about the influx of undocumented immigrants crossing into the U.S. And they told me that things have actually been pretty slow. Their biggest concern is getting in trouble with the cartel. So they didn't want to speak to us on camera, which we completely understand. But again, they say that things have been pretty calm. This morning, we spoke to a lawyer with the Southern Poverty Law Center. They do work more at a national level, and his name is Efren Olivares. We'll be hearing from him in a little bit, but we also spoke to a representative with the Texas Civil Rights Project, specifically with the program Beyond Borders. So she's the legal director, Laura Peña, and we got to hear from her, and really what she had to say is that, you know, when it comes to opening our borders to Ukrainians right now who are going through this war. We've seen that happen, right? The United States welcoming them in, that it's proof that the U.S. does have the resources needed. But she believes that really people, migrants of color, Haitians, have been treated differently. But I want to take you back to Efren Olivares. He's the Immigrant Justice Deputy Legal Director for the Southern Poverty Law Center. And here's what he had to say about Title 42 ending. They do want to see it lifted, but he wanted to make a clarification. Let's listen in.
Anybody who's apprehended is returned to their country of origin under Title 42, even if they have the evidence for an asylum claim, even if they are represented. So it has made it impossible. And the one thing I want to highlight is that we're not asking that everyone be allowed in. What we're asking is that they be allowed an opportunity to present their asylum case. If they qualify, wonderful. If an immigration judge decides that they don't qualify, then they will be deported. That's all we're asking for.
All right, so there you go. It's not a total open border policy that, in this case, the Southern Poverty Law Center is asking for. Once again, to reiterate, they do a lot of work litigation-wise, but at a national level. And right now, there is a lot of confusion. Is Title 42 going to end on Monday? Is it fully going to be lifted by the Biden administration? So why I'm here at the border with photojournalist Billy Caldera, well, we want to hear from the people who live here, the business owners, the ranchers. Are they prepared? I did also ask a question to the Texas Civil Rights Project, again, Laura Peña, and I asked them, are they ready? And they say, yeah, we think we are prepared. We know that there's going to be an influx, but it is something that they think that they can handle, and especially when you look at it at a humane level. So we'll be providing coverage throughout all our newscasts today. Stefania Jimenez will also be providing coverage on her end, specifically when it comes to the visit of the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. So again, we'll be out here all day, you guys. It's going to be a busy day. It's really hot already. We felt that humidity the moment we walked out of the hotel. Kind of just slaps you in the face. But right now, what's keeping us cool is this wind. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Alicia Barrera, reporting from Donna this morning on the situation down there at the border when it comes to Title 42. Alicia, make sure you guys stay hydrated, you and Billy, and make sure you guys stay safe out there, because she brought up a good point too. When you think about what these homeowners and business owners are going through, not only is the border basically their backyard, but they also have to deal with issues like she mentioned, some of the cartel things. I mean, there's a lot going on there.
There is a lot going on, and it's something we're going to continue to cover throughout today as well. Like she said, Stefania is out there as well, so make sure you watch our later newscast on all that.
Yeah, team coverage throughout the day. We have got you covered. Also, make sure to check out KSAT.com and our newsreader app, the KSAT app, for the latest updates.
Switching gears a little bit here, Starbucks has announced it will cover travel expenses for U.S. employees seeking abortions and gender confirmation procedures.
All right, this announcement comes after the leak of a draft opinion from the Supreme Court arguing for overturning Roe v. Wade.
Now, Starbucks acting executive vice president Sarah Kelly said that, quote, regardless of where you live or what you believe, partners enrolled in Starbucks Healthcare will now be offered reimbursement for eligible travel expenses when accessing abortion or gender-affirming procedures when those services are not available within 100 miles of a partner's home, end quote.
That's right. Starbucks joins a group of companies that have assured workers they will help pay for travel to seek an abortion, including Amazon, Microsoft, and Tesla, which of course is Tesla has a big headquarters now here in Texas. So a lot of these companies are taking these steps to help their employees out if they choose to go that route when it comes to abortions. And it's just adding to the debate here.
It's another hot button issue that we're seeing more talk about, especially after the leak of that draft. We will get a ruling later this summer, an official ruling. This was just a draft. We always have to say this was just a draft that was leaked. Nothing's official yet, but it's interesting to see that some companies are already taking action on this.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's a great point there. We will find out a final ruling here in the upcoming months here. So speaking of big companies, McDonald's, how about this? Taking its Big Macs and chicken nuggets out of Russia and leaving the country altogether after decades of business there.
Yeah, so McDonald's opened its first restaurant in Moscow 30 years ago, but after temporarily shutting down more than 800 restaurants following the invasion of Ukraine, McDonald's has decided to just leave Russia altogether.
So the burger chain said in a statement that it will sell its businesses there in Russia. And the reason they're doing this is because of, quote, the humanitarian crisis caused by the war, that one in Ukraine, of course, and because business in Russia is no longer consistent with McDonald's values, end quotes.
So once that sale is finalized, the Russian restaurants will be de-arched, meaning the locations will no longer be allowed to use the McDonald's name, logo, or menu. McDonald's said its 60,000 employees in Russia will still be paid until the transaction officially closes.
Oof, yeah, and I think from something I was reading was that 30 years ago was also kind of when it was the fall of the Soviet Union, so American businesses basically started to set up in countries like Russia, obviously a big country when it comes to European, the economy there. So a pretty interesting move here. Obviously, you know, with everything going on in Ukraine, it seems like a lot of other companies have done this, kind of pulled back their business there.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I wonder what other businesses are officially closing from working inside Russia.
And obviously, feel bad for those employees there, whether, you know, obviously we don't know whether they're for the war or against it, but it's a lot of employees there that are going to be having to find new employment there in that country.
Yep.
Well, it is the age-old question, Erica. Is there life, yes, in outer space? I don't know. We're going to find out today, but this is very interesting because a House panel is holding a hearing today about UFOs for the first time in 50 years. This is crazy to me.
I mean, they're discussing it. It focuses on a Pentagon program that was established last year after the U.S. intelligence community released a preliminary assessment on 144 reports of unidentified aerial phenomena since 2004, and could explain only one of those.
The plot thickens here, yeah. The Pentagon says the Defense Department will try to make sure that we have a better process for identifying these phenomenons and have made more of a proactive approach when it comes to finding out what's behind these reports.
Yeah, the hearing is also showing declassified videos that were released as lawmakers try to bring more transparency to an investigation of unexplained reports by military pilots and other skywatchers. I remember when some of those videos came out a couple years ago. They're really interesting to see, and it does have you thinking, what is that?
And well, no, that's a great point, because I think for years and years, obviously this is the first time they're actually doing something with this for 50 years, it's always been like, oh, it's just someone out there who's just seeing something. These reports are not, you know, they're not legitimate in any sort of way, but you know, I think it at least is worth exploring, figuring out what's going on there, because I've had family members that claim that they've seen some stuff in the sky. Again, nothing's been proven, but
it's official.
Yeah, hey, you know, we were out in West Texas growing up, so who knows what they saw out there.
But it's interesting to see that the government is talking about it, and it makes you think, is there something else going on that we just don't know about?
Okay. What's that, Area 51? The one out there in Roswell that was like blocked off forever. Oh, but yeah, very interesting. We'll continue to follow that story there. All right, more than $10 million. That's a lot of money. Yes. That's how much that Snapchat co-founder Evan Spiegel and his wife Miranda Kerr are spending in paying off the student loan debt for graduating seniors at Otis College of Art and Design. Wow.
Yeah, so the president of the college announced the donation at Sunday's graduation ceremony in Los Angeles. As he made the announcement, students erupted in cheers, as you could see there, and gave a standing ovation.
Ooh. Very cool stuff there. Yeah, in a press release, Spiegel and Kerr stated that, quote, "We hope this gift will empower graduates to pursue their passions, contribute to the world, and inspire humanity for years to come," end quote.
So this is a huge donation, and it comes as President Joe Biden is considering relieving some of the nation's $1.73 trillion student debt.
Ooh, yeah. So this is pretty big. So I was looking up what it costs there for tuition and fees at the Otis College of Art and Design, and this is in the LA area. So in 2019, 2020, $50,000 for a year.
And I saw that it was like 90% of their students graduate with debt there. So I'm sure they're very relieved they don't have to deal with that right now and can use that money for something hopefully better.
Absolutely. What was the other? There was an East Texas college that did this. Wiley College did this a few weeks ago when it was someone, an anonymous supporter of the college, also paid off all the college graduates' debt. So yeah, it's pretty good stuff there. Imagine that. I'd be excited.
I would have been excited. Yeah.
Thrilled about that. Okay.
Not thrilled.
Not thrilled, exactly.
I was going to make a joke. And RJ will be paying off everyone's student debt.
Not anytime soon. Sorry, Texas State alums. I'm not with you there. Yeah.
Guys, we are seeing, you know, we're in the middle of a heat wave, okay? And it's not going to let up any time in the immediate future, okay? We're going to stay hot through Saturday. Temperatures will be well above average. The average high is 87, and so as you can see, it's going to be in the 90s. But there is some relief in the future. So by Sunday, we'll have a cool front that'll move through and will at least allow for temperatures to be close to the seasonable average. Take a look at satellite right now because it's totally clear around San Antonio. We are quickly warming up, but out to the west, you can see those cirrus clouds clouds there, those are going to be moving in throughout the afternoon. They're probably actually going to make for a really nice sunset tonight. So make sure to keep that in mind. Sunset's at 8:20 this evening. So those cirrus clouds will move in. And other than that, though, it's just going to be hot. Temperatures are going to climb to 98 in San Antonio, 94 Bulverde, 98 in New Braunfels, 99 in Rio Medina, 100 in Sabinal, 98 in Bandera, and 97 in Kerrville. Here's your 12-hour forecast. Heading out for lunch after the KSAT News Now, just know it's going to be really hot. Temperatures are going to be starting to get into the 90s. We'll have winds from the south at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. And then looking in this afternoon, that's when we're going to be the hottest, 4, 5, 6 p.m. After sunset even, again, that sunset should be pretty nice with those cirrus clouds. It's still going to be warm. Temperatures will be in the 80s. So as you're planning the rest of your week, plan for the heat through Saturday, but then Sunday looks like we're going to have a cool down. You'll notice there's also a chance for some rain as well. It looks like we could have some areas of isolated to scattered showers and storms Friday through Monday. We could use the rain, but I really want to caution you, it's not going to be a drought denter by any means, but it is just at least encouraging to see some rain in the forecast, guys. It has been so dry this May.
Yeah. But I'm liking that 62 on Sunday morning.
Good point.
That's a really
We'll
nice
take
walking weather outside.
Yeah, it really will be. It'll be nice to take a walk on Sunday morning with the cooler temperatures.
87.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I never thought I'd be like 87.
Yes.
Thank you. And Sarah, you brought up a great point. So my wife yesterday was on the Leon Creek, the new trails out there at the rim.
Yeah.
Well, not so new anymore, but she was taking pictures of sunset out there. Beautiful sunsets.
Really
Yeah.
awesome. Yep.
Yeah, so
gorgeous.
it's a lot
And
of
with
good
the
stuff
cirrus
there.
clouds
Some silver
tonight,
lining.
it's true.
Beautiful
Silver
sunsets.
linings. For sure.
Yeah, well,
Thanks,
thank you very
Sarah.
much, Sarah.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Okay, Erica, we're talking earlier about your podcasting endeavor. We know you guys, you're doing big things with Lee Waldman. So kind of just give us a
Yeah.
little bit of breakdown of what's going on with South Texas crime.
So every Tuesday we've been dropping episodes. We have our 4th episode that just came out today. It is about the murder of Mary B. Bettis. This was a little girl in 1999 that was kidnapped from Fiesta and ultimately murdered. And we talk about this case and why it is so significant, and also just so we can remember Mary B, because we never want to forget her name. So we really dive into this story, Lee and I, and we're just, we're plugging around on these cases. We have one more story to tell before season 1 ends, and then we'll start getting and working on to season 2. But we're really excited how well received this podcast has been, and there is a lot of true crime fans here in San Antonio and South Texas, and we're going to continue to bring you the latest stories as much as possible, and we have a lot of big things in the works for season 2.
So this is the 4th episode,
This
right?
will be 4th episode. We have 5th episode coming next week, and then we're going to take a short little break to start on season 2.
And just a quick recap of the other 3 that are already on anywhere that you get your podcast. You did Joshua Davis, right?
The disappearance of Joshua Davis, who was a little boy who disappeared from New Braunfels. And then the 2nd episode was about now I can't remember. Now you put me on the spot, RJ. I have all these names in my head right now.
I
Now
know
you put
you're
me
working on a lot of different stories that we have here. Let's go ahead and find
I know.
out.
Episode 3 was about the medical center rapist, which was a story we covered extensively, and who still has trials pending on 4 of the cases he was charged with. Why? Oh yes, episode 2 was the Monica Rizzo case. Was called the Boneyard, which was a woman who was murdered, and her bones were found in her backyard, but nobody was ever charged in that case as well. So those are the stories we've been talking about. Like I said, the latest episode is about Mary B. Bettis and her murder, and then next week we have a cold case that was solved, and we kind of dive into the trial and what took place in that trial that occurred back in March.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to hear sort of the conversations in the newsroom about some of these stories. Earlier, one of our photojournalists, Tim Stewart, I overheard you guys talking, because by the way, Erica sits right next to me, so I do get to hear some.
It's always eavesdropping. Jeez.
And he was saying that was one of the first stories that he covered
when he
here.
got here.
Yeah, and to think of it happening at Fiesta, I mean, just
it's just something.
Situation.
It was. We have a sense of calm and celebration. It's not something you think about when you're out celebrating Fiesta, but the worst did happen for this family, and we were able to talk about Mary B. and who she was and what happened to her, and we also held a shut line and closure for these families during this podcast,
absolutely.
and I always say when we talk about Ali and I, we never want to glorify the crime itself or the people who commit these crimes, but those stories from the victim side we need to tell, and we need to also be sensitive about it. So we try to take that approach when we talk about these stories.
Absolutely, definitely, because you bring up a good point just about for these families still that have lost a loved one and still probably think about it every day. So great job. I know you guys are cranking them out for sure. I see you working on them, editing them every day.
A lot of work, and then we go to court and we have some court cases coming up. In the future we have some big cases coming up that we'll be covering as well. So there's a lot going on the crime and court beat.
Yeah, very good stuff, and we know that you will continue to follow it as well as you've been doing so far. Want to mention real quick.
I was going to say the draft.
Yes, before we go.
The lottery, not the draft, the lottery.
Right, before we go, unfortunately the Spurs are in the draft lottery once again, third straight year. Come on now, Sen. We need to make the Spurs great again.
I'm still a fan. It's okay. I'm still a fan.
We're still, okay, well, we'll find out about this Austin thing later today too. But wanted to mention the Spurs are going to find out today where they're going to pick in the NBA draft, the upcoming one. So right now it's looking like they will have the 9th pick in the draft. But
how does that happen? Like, I don't understand.
It's based on records, and it's kind of like a lot. It's basically the lottery. That's what it's called. But one thing though, David Robinson is going to be representing the Spurs. The Admiral, Big 5-0. Let's go.
Lucky hands. Come on. Let's just hopefully he has some good luck there. And is it possible to be above?
We can move up to the top 3. We can. Yeah, that's
Come on,
the
David,
hope.
make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen, David Robinson. Come on, you haven't done enough for the Spurs. So and we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow once we find out, where the Spurs will pick.
That's happening this evening?
That's happening tonight. Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So
look forward to that.
Make sure to check that out. All right, Erica. Well, thank you very much for being with us. We know you're super busy.
I'm glad to join you anytime. Like I said, I sit by you, so I know what's going on. And
absolutely.
When you ask, I'm always happy to come on.
There we go. Yeah. Well, we appreciate it, and thank you guys for being with us on KSAT News Now. Again, we have the podcast too. Make sure you like, rate, and subscribe there. You guys have a good Tuesday. Be safe out there.